The rock community recently found itself pausing, reflecting, and speaking with unusual softness about Brad Arnold, the founding voice behind Three Doors Down. In moments when powerful rumors and emotional messages circulate quickly, what stood out most was not shock, but gratitude. Fans, musicians, and listeners across generations revisited the songs that had once carried them through uncertainty, long nights, and quiet personal victories. Rather than focusing on speculation or dramatic headlines, many chose to honor the very real influence Arnold's music has had on their lives. His voice, steady and familiar, has long been tied to resilience and reflection. In times like these, the music world often reveals its truest character, setting aside noise to acknowledge impact. What emerged was not a story driven by loss, but one shaped by appreciation for a songwriter whose work continues to live wherever his music is heard. The roots of a songwriter's spirit. Brad Arnold's journey into music did not begin with ambition for fame, but with curiosity and emotional honesty. Growing up in Mississippi, he was surrounded by everyday stories that quietly shaped his worldview. He often described writing songs in ordinary places, outdoors, or during moments of stillness, allowing thoughts to settle before turning into lyrics. This grounded approach became a defining part of his creative identity. Arnold's early songwriting reflected introspection rather than performance, focusing on inner conflict, hope, and perseverance. Those early instincts never faded. Even as success followed, his lyrics retained a sense of humility and relatability. He wrote as someone observing life rather than escaping it. This connection to simple beginnings helped ensure that his music always felt personal, rooted, and accessible, no matter how large the audience grew. The formation of Three Doors Down. Three Doors Down emerged from friendship, shared discipline, and a belief that honest music could find its audience. Brad Arnold played a central role in shaping the band's sound, not through force, but through consistency and emotional clarity. The group blended post-grunge textures with melodic restraint, creating songs that felt both powerful and intimate. Arnold's voice became the emotional center, delivering lyrics that spoke plainly without losing depth. The band's early performances were defined by authenticity rather than spectacle, building momentum organically. As they gained attention, their appeal came from relatability rather than image. Arnold never positioned himself as untouchable or larger than life. Instead, he became a familiar presence to listeners. That balance helped the band navigate early success without losing its identity, laying a foundation that would support a long and steady career. Kryptonite and an unexpected anthem. Kryptonite, written by Brad Arnold at a remarkably young age, became a defining moment not only for Three Doors Down but for early 2000s rock. The song captured vulnerability disguised as strength, a theme that resonated widely. Its success was not driven by excess but by emotional truth. Listeners connected because the lyrics acknowledged weakness without surrendering hope. As the song climbed charts and filled radios, Arnold remained grounded, often emphasizing that its meaning belonged to those who heard it. Kryptonite became more than a hit. It became a shared language for a generation navigating uncertainty. Its endurance over time speaks to the strength of honest songwriting. Rather than aging with trends, it has remained relevant, continuing to introduce new listeners to a voice that understands fragility and resilience in equal measure. A career built on consistency and trust. Following their breakthrough, Three Doors Down continued releasing music that emphasized emotional clarity over reinvention. Brad Arnold's songwriting matured alongside his audience, addressing themes of absence, endurance, faith, and reconciliation. Songs like Here Without You and When I'm Gone demonstrated his ability to balance restraint with emotional weight. He never chased shock value or controversy, choosing instead to build trust through reliability. This consistency allowed listeners to grow with the music, returning to it at different stages of life and finding new meaning each time. Arnold understood that longevity in music often comes from restraint rather than excess. By staying true to the band's core sound and message, he helped ensure that their work remained familiar without becoming stagnant, earning a loyalty that outlasted changing trends. Life beyond the spotlight. Away from the stage, Brad Arnold has long emphasized the importance of family, humility, and perspective. He has spoken about the value of maintaining balance in an industry that often demands constant visibility. Rather than allowing public attention to define him, he focused on personal growth and responsibility. Arnold's openness about challenges, when he chose to share them, was never framed for sympathy but for understanding. He often expressed gratitude for the opportunity to make music while recognizing the importance of boundaries. This approach helped him maintain authenticity both publicly and privately. Fans responded not with intrusion, but with respect. His life beyond the spotlight reinforced what listeners heard in his songs: a person committed to honesty, grounded values, and meaningful connection rather than image. A relationship with fans built on respect. The connection between Brad Arnold and his audience has always been defined by mutual respect. He never treated listeners as passive spectators, but as participants in a shared experience. Concerts became communal moments rather than performances built on distance. Arnold often acknowledged the role fans played in sustaining the band's journey, emphasizing gratitude over entitlement. This humility resonated deeply, creating a bond that extended beyond albums and tours. Listeners felt seen rather than marketed to. Over time, that relationship evolved into something enduring, built on trust and emotional honesty. Fans supported the music not because it was loud or fashionable, but because it felt sincere. That mutual understanding allowed Three Doors Down's music to remain relevant across generations, carried forward by loyalty rather than hype. Quiet strength in the face of uncertainty. Throughout his career, Brad Arnold has demonstrated a preference for dignity over reaction. In moments when silence was necessary, he chose restraint rather than explanation, trusting that not every chapter requires public interpretation. This approach reflected maturity and confidence rather than avoidance. Arnold understood that speculation often says more about the noise of the world than the truth of a person's life. By maintaining boundaries, he preserved credibility and focus. When he did speak, his words carried weight because they were measured and sincere. This quiet strength became part of his public identity, reinforcing the themes present in his music. It reminded listeners that resilience does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it exists in calm, deliberate choices made away from attention. The role of faith and perspective. Faith has often been a guiding influence in Brad Arnold's outlook, shaping how he approached success, hardship, and uncertainty. He spoke of belief as a source of grounding rather than performance, offering perspective during moments of doubt. This spiritual foundation influenced his music subtly, emphasizing acceptance, gratitude, and hope without becoming prescriptive. Fans from diverse backgrounds found comfort in this approach, connecting to the sense of calm and reflection present in his lyrics. Arnold's faith helped frame life as something to be engaged with honestly rather than conquered. That perspective allowed him to address challenges with humility and clarity, reinforcing the sense that his music came from a place of genuine reflection rather than image or expectation. A legacy that continues. Through music, Brad Arnold's legacy is ultimately carried forward through the music itself. Songs written with sincerity continue to find new listeners, offering comfort and recognition long after their release. His work with Three Doors Down stands as a reminder that emotional honesty can outlast trends and headlines. Rather than being defined by speculation or momentary narratives, his impact lives in shared memories, quiet car rides, and lyrics remembered during pivotal life moments. That enduring presence is the mark of meaningful artistry. By choosing authenticity over illusion and restraint over noise, Arnold helped create a body of work that remains relevant and human. His music continues to touch hearts not because of spectacle, but because it speaks plainly, reminding listeners that strength and vulnerability often exist side by side.